joining us. Go ahead and just start us off
Recording
with your
in
thoughts
progress.
on this weekend's season opener.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks for everyone joining us today. Obviously, a really, really exciting week with the start of the 2025 season, but also the 50th anniversary of the club. So, exciting times for Portland Timbers, and obviously we're excited for this weekend's match.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions. Does anyone want to start us off up here?
Ned, Merritt kind of mentioned it that you guys might not be done in this window before the summer. If a player comes in or not, is there a certain aspect of the squad that you're looking to strengthen?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, I would just say we have increased flexibility after obviously the big move and the big trade of Evander, just with the ability to convert some of that cash to general allocation money opens up, I would say increased budget to strengthen the squad if needed. In terms of where we look to do that, I would say we've obviously got to monitor a few things. Some of that's how we start the season. Some of that's injuries. We'll look to assess those going forward. We'll look to do that in a few different areas, but we'll also keep a pulse on the team and monitor, how we start the season.
This is kind of a fairly open-ended one, but last year you guys were a team that could score a lot of goals. You were a team that could allow a lot of goals. Where's the kind of the happy medium that you guys are looking for this year, and what's your expectation for kind of what the look and feel of this team on the pitch is?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think some of that answer, as you said, an open-ended question a little bit, will be the product on the field and what we see from the team over longer stretches. Certainly last season at times, and even for, I would say a majority of the season, we probably had one of the most, dangerous attacks and exciting attacks, with multiple players that could hurt you in different ways. But we did concede way too many goals. And even just how we conceded those goals, the defensive set piece issues, I think that were glaring for us, when looking at the average across the league. Right now, I think you see a team in some of the additions that we've made where we're probably a bit more dynamic. I think we're a bit more athletic. We're stronger, we're faster with some of the players that we've added as well. Obviously, as we head into the beginning of the season, getting Dasta up to speed and trying to work through the work visa stuff there. A little bit of an injury to Santiago Moreno. I think we're missing a little bit of the creativity and a little bit of that special quality that can make a difference. So I think we've got a team that can do both things and can press higher up the field and turn the ball over and create goals that way as well. So hopefully there'll be a little bit more balance to what we do. But certainly I think when you look at last season, even though we were very, very aggressive in the way that we approached games and we tried to attack and get on the front foot because that's how the team was built. We had some special players, obviously, that could make a difference. It did at times leave us a little bit susceptible in the back in terms of the conceding of goals.
Ned over here, trying to replace a all-star caliber player, MVP caliber player. What was it about Dasta that set him apart from other players, and why you guys sought after him, and just what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's timing. I really do. And in some ways, while they're different players, they're very different players, I can see some similarities with the timing. There's a player just turned 24, probably similar to Evander. When we first brought him here, questions of, what was next in Evander's career at the time. Is he going to jump to a higher league in Europe? And he saw the opportunity in MLS being a great one for him and join the Portland Timbers in MLS. And I see the similarity here with David Dasta, who's been playing at a high level, was at a club where he grew up, was an academy player, and played a big role for them. They had a coaching change, and some of his minutes, and consistency and playing time started to dip and drop a little bit. So I think that he sees this as a big, big opportunity as well, to play regularly, to take on a bigger role. He's a kid, as everyone will see. I call him a kid because he's still young, but looks even younger than he is. It's just so easy for him. The game comes natural. And I think in this league, hopefully the plan is, with him playing regularly, getting him on the ball as often as possible, that love of the game will come out. And I think he's someone that can have a real difference with the qualities that he has, within our group.
Ned in the back, Guillermo Mota with K2 News. Piggybacking on Orlando's question,
fans seem to be divided on whether it was a good move to sell Evander or it was a bad one. In your eyes, what do you tell the fans on the compromise of yourself to this team, but the city?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably not a surprise that a large group of people, there's a division on how people see things, right? People are going to look at that. It's a big, big decision, right? There's a player that had a great season for us last year, helped the team in a lot of different ways, gained the individual notoriety which he deserved as well, but we had also built things around Evander, to help give him that platform, put him in a position to succeed and show what he's capable of, which he did, and he obviously deserves a ton of credit for that as well. I think, I said publicly before that in my position, you have to look at all the information that you have, and in the end, you do need to look at it as a risk assessment. What is the risk to the downside, and what is the risk, to potentially to the upside? And I think with what we knew and where we were at, even in trying to go through an off season and continue to try and mend relationships and continue to try to find what was going to work best for everyone, I think it became clearer and clearer as we moved through the new year, including the fact that I felt we had a very, very talented player who was fully on board and committed. Once we started to get into, I would say, advanced negotiations with some other clubs, and some of the figures started to come back to us, we felt that it was necessary for the group to move on, to have that clarity, to have a fresh start with a new player. Certainly I can understand there's always going to be questions. It's professional sports. My opinion, that's the beauty of it. But at the end of the day, I think for us and for myself personally, assessing everything that I had in front of me, I felt it was best to make a decision to change.
And obviously the big sale this window was Evander, but there's a lot of young talent of the team that would seem desirable to teams abroad, South America, etc. Was there any substantial offers that you had to turn down this window from teams interested in players on the squad?
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything substantial, but I think when you look at the group, and you could probably pinpoint some of the players we've brought in. We've had a very clear structure for the most part with our U22 acquisitions, in some of the markets that we've shopped and some of the prices, that we've purchased those players from originally. There's continued to be an interest around a number of players within our group, whether that's a Santiago Moreno, whether that's a Juan Mosquera. Anthony is a player this offseason, that's garnered a little bit of interest as well. But for us, there's not been anything there that's made sense where I could say this piece of business is going to make us that much better. You've got to assess both things, right? Because just taking a bunch of money in return and not knowing how to use it for the better of the squad is not going to help anybody. And look, this is a season where, coming off the last 2 years, even though last year at times it felt like we were really, really close, to climbing back to a place that this club wants to be, that the fans deserve, and the expectations that we all have, we have to make sure that we still have really, really good players and quality players, and Phil has selection choices as well as we try to move through a difficult MLS season.
Thank you. Ned, speak about a little bit on that one. So after that analysis, you are confident and you can say that Santi Moreno is staying at least until the next window. He's not going to move early on in the season. And then second one, I'm sorry. Is there any decision already on Tommy McNamara?
Okay, so to the first one, in my world, by the time I get back to my computer, I could have it. Anything could be sitting on there at any moment. What I would say is that we've continued to work with Santi, and he's a player in particular, to be honest with you, that has continued to outperform his contract, is my assessment of it. Young player that came in, but immediately within his first full season showed he was capable of being a starter. We've redone Santi's contract multiple times. It's something that I'm still continue to be open to because I do think he provides so much value for our group. And for me personally, I think he's one of the most balanced players in all of MLS. So he's very important to what we do. We have had some interest in him. But at the same time, I think we've continued to try and communicate with him and work with him, to understand that he also has a very, very good situation here in Portland. My understanding, Phil's understanding, our belief is that Santi's going to be with us at the start of the season. I've not seen a player maybe in the last couple of years work as hard as he has with his rehab after having a pretty severe ankle injury in the beginning of the year. He's absolutely been crushing it with his individual work. That for me has been a big sign of maturity from him. To your second question, we do have Tommy McNamara on trial. I think right now that what we're looking to try and do is we're trying to build out, our roster and have more numbers. We're probably 24, 25 right now. So we're assessing a number of opportunities, and with Tommy specifically, we should be in position by the beginning of next week to make a decision one way or the other.
Okay, we'll take one last question.
What was the market like for Evander? Did you have multiple teams making offers for you guys? Was there a bidding war? Like, how did you guys ultimately come down to Cincinnati for that?
Yeah, well, I think it's what's interesting is that even though in the offseason for us, which is the ideal time to potentially make some of these changes, you see we've brought, probably 6 new players in, from different mechanisms. It's not always the best time, for other markets, whether that's Brazil, where he's obviously had interest, whether that's from some other leagues in Europe. I think the really challenging thing in Evander's situation in terms of assessing the potential sale that people need to understand is that he has had lofty expectations for salary stuff as well, in line, I believe, with what probably was previously on the table for him here in Portland. And so it makes it challenging to find a big transfer fee figure in return for a club that also has the ability to pay him, $4.5 million a year potentially. So I think we had a lot of strong interest from a few clubs specifically in Brazil, a little bit in Mexico. Those things didn't really transpire the way that we thought that they might. And then obviously as we hit the new year and clubs in MLS started to become aware of this new, initiative where you could trade players for cash, there became an immediate market, and I would say at figures where we needed to think seriously about potentially making a change. I don't think it's a secret to anybody else. I know we've got Evander in Portland, so we're specifically thinking about Evander in Portland, but I can't remember a time in MLS where I've seen 5-6 of the league's top 10 players arguably leave, and they're on a different club, either in MLS or abroad. And so there was some musical chairs there being played at the highest level throughout MLS. I would commend our club, and applaud the others that were involved to stay patient and have an understanding a little bit, the position that we were in. I'll give Phil credit for that as well. And like I said, in the end, I think it was a decision that made sense for us to act on.
Okay, we're going to wrap it there. Thanks for your time, Ned.
Thanks a lot.
Head coach Phil Neville joining us shortly. All right, we're joined here by Timbers head coach Phil Neville. Phil, thanks for joining us. Go ahead and just start us off with your thoughts on the team before the season opener this weekend.
Hey guys, how we doing? We go again. No, I'm really excited for the start of the MLS season this weekend. I think it's felt like a long but productive off season. Got to say the pre-season was really good. We really enjoyed the pre-season, probably more than I did last pre-season because of I felt more settled with the team, in the job, in the city, in everything around the working environment. So that was good. And whatever you do in pre-season, all the work that you put in, it now comes to the real action, and we're looking forward to starting the season on Sunday.
We'll open it up to questions. Start with Jeremy.
Obviously, Evander has left. David Dasta's in. What have you seen from him in his first couple training sessions with the team?
Yeah, I mean, he's. I've watched a lot of him, so it's not just the training sessions, but he's adjusting really well to his teammates, to the environment. We don't know yet whether he's going to be available for the weekend, so I think that's probably the next step. We want to see him in action. We want to see him gelling with his teammates. That takes a little bit of time, but he's been really, really impressive around the place. He trained with the team for the first time yesterday in terms of a full team session. He's been doing a lot of individual work, and he showed qualities that we need in our starting 11. And I can't wait to get him involved. Hopefully it will be this weekend. but that's probably a long shot.
Besides DaCosta's visa situation, can you kind of give us more of a wider injury update on the team, how Jonathan Rodriguez is doing, what he's dealing with, and then also Santiago Moreno, who's training on the side today?
Yeah, we've had to suffer a little bit in pre-season. So in terms of this weekend, no Rodriguez, no Moreno, no Mosquera. He's only trained 2 days. He'll be on the bench at the very, very maximum. He still needs 10 days to 2 weeks. He's missed the whole of pre-season. I'm thinking of anyone else. No Jonathan, no Santi, no DaCosta probably this weekend, and no Mosquera. So I think Finn's back this weekend, yeah. Finn's trained the last 5 days, played 30 minutes against Charlotte, and is in contention to start on Sunday.
Phil, Guillermo with KT News in the back. How you doing, first of all? And then second, you can't replace a son. And you mentioned that Vander was kind of like a son for you last season.
Not anymore.
All right, moving on from that. Who are you looking to this season in the team to step up and have maybe just an impressive season?
Yeah, well, I think what's important to say is that we're going to be a different team this year. There's going to be a new identity, a new style of play, because the players are different. You know, the players that we've brought in will make us a different team. And I think what I always thought about was last year was we were a team of really, really good individuals. And sometimes when obviously we sent them out onto the pitch, individuals don't always win you championships, don't win you games, don't get you success. And I feel this year, particularly with the signings that we've made, we're going to be a better team. A team that when it goes out on the pitch, we're going to know what we're going to get from that team. And that as a coach is a really good place to be, because there was probably times last year when we were rolling the dice about which version of the team we were going to see. And we saw our inconsistencies throughout the whole season, but particularly through many games where we would have periods of really good play, exciting play, score goals, and then there was periods where we would concede goals and not stick to the plan and be really inconsistent. So what I expect this year and what we've planned on all season is the consistency in our play. I think the consistency gets you success. And we're a new team, we're a young team. I think just looking through the roster, Mosquera's young, Finn Sermon's young, David Dasta's young, Anthony's young, Jimmy Four's young, David Ayala's young, Kevin Kelsey's young, all below the age of 24, which is really exciting. Ian Smith's really young, no experience in the team. So we're going to need those young players to really step up, and we're going to need the senior players to grab hold of those young players and say, right, you're coming on this journey with us. These are the do's and the don'ts. These is what you need to do. So we're putting a lot of expectation on the younger players, but we're also putting even more expectation on the senior players to make sure that we help those young players, because those young players are going to be stars. Trust me, we've got some incredibly talented young players now. And I think it's going to be exciting seeing them grow over this last season. And what we saw over the last 12 months, we saw a player develop from an $8 million player to a $12 million player. We've got other players in the team that some of the top clubs in the world are now inquiring about, wanting and seeing the development. So we're a club that likes to develop players and improve players, and I think that's really exciting for this group of players. And it's exciting for me and the staff to see the growth in every single player.
Coach over here.
How you doing?
It writes itself getting a chance to open with Vancouver. And I know it's a new team, but I know there are players that were on the team last year that felt that loss. How much did you obsess over that loss and the way the season ended, and just how much of a motivating force was that going into the offseason?
I mean, it was definitely a motivating factor in terms of the work that we needed to do. I think what it did, it just speeded up the process of what we wanted to do. We knew we were in that little bit of a transition rebuild focus, and I think it transitioned into we needed to act really quickly. And I think in the early part of the off season there was a period where we probably didn't make many moves, and there was a lot of frustration probably from outside the club. But we had a clear plan and clear strategy. Now we've probably accomplished probably 90% of what we wanted to do in the off season. There's still probably 10% to go. So but the players we brought in have got outstanding qualities both on and off the pitch, and we're playing against a team that's got a new manager, some new players, but the feeling of that last game should be our motivation. That feeling of that last game should have been the motivation all off season to come back even fitter, even stronger, even more motivated. And we start the season with a clean slate. And for me, it's a Cascadia game. I was at a fan event on Tuesday, and the Cascadia Cup is still one of the most important parts and most important goals for this football club, and especially for the supporters. And we want to make sure we give the supporters what they want.
Hey Phil, good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you.
Nice to see you.
You talked about the young kids, but now I wanted to ask you about one of your older players. Diego Chara is nearing his 400th appearance. He's been here for more than a decade. And I wanted to get your thoughts on, what he means to this team, both as a player and both as a leader.
I mean, he's a phenomenal human being, first and foremost, which I think is the most important quality to have. He's got the respect of everybody within the dressing room, outside of the dressing room, outside of this football club. Everyone in this league, I think, respects him and holds him in the highest regards. And I think every single day I see him train, I see him behave. He literally inspires me every single day because of his behaviour, because of his attitude. And we were in Coachella when we were away for a few weeks, for 3 or 4 weeks, and we got down to Coachella, and he played a game, and then he had something with his family that he had to attend to, and I said, look, Diego, come back whenever you want. And within 24 hours he'd flown home and come straight back, because the team is really important to him. And with his experience, you would have, I literally give him 3 or 4 days to go and enjoy his family, go and see his family, because he's not spent that much time with them. And he was back within 24 hours. He would have been back quicker if it hadn't been for the snow. The snow actually delayed his flight back. So I think everything that's great about this city, not about this football club, is Diego Chara. Diego Chara epitomises everything I think is great about this city, and he is someone that's going to be at this football club for a long, long time, well beyond his playing career.
Phil, this kind of feels like a weird question to ask because you guys were so prolific on offense at times last season,
Yeah.
but you lose an MVP candidate. It sounds like Jono might miss a certain amount of time. Where's the offense going to come from for you guys, especially here early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, well, we invested a lot of money in Kevin Kelsey. I think when you talk about the DP players, you forget Felipe Mora, who had an outstanding season last year. So there's guaranteed goals there. We need goals from Anthony. We need goals from midfield. We need goals from our centre-backs. It's a really fair question because we have took goals out of our team, but we have got goals in the roster at this moment in time. We are probably missing our creative players in that team. Dasta, Jonathan Rodriguez, Santi Moreno, Juan Mosquera, real 4 attacking players that help with our offensive play. So, like I said before, maybe in the first month of the season you're going to see a slightly different Portland Timbers than what you saw last year. But it's a Portland Timbers team that's going to be still playing on the front foot, attacking football, and making sure that we're the hardest team to beat.
Coach, para la Grande Radio en español, por favor, ¿cuáles son las expectativas? ¿Qué podemos esperar de este equipo nuevo en cuestiones de juego? Y la segunda pregunta sería, hoy juega Vancouver Whitecaps en Conca Champions, ¿lo tiene previsto para verlos?
Sí, mi expectación es esta temporada es el mismo que todas las temporadas yo trabajo en fútbol, es yo quiero ganar. Los dueños quieren ganar también, Ned quieren ganar. Entonces tenemos muchos retos en el inicio de la temporada, pero es una temporada con un equipo nuevo. Con unos jugadores muy jóvenes y también con experiencia. Entonces tenemos muy emocionado con el partido el domingo contra Vancouver. Es un equipo con un entrenador nuevo también, que ellos jugar en un partido esta noche a las 5 en FS2, a las 5 también. Entonces es un partido donde todo mi cuerpo técnico vamos a verlo, porque es una oportunidad para verlos y ver las cualidades y las debilidades también.
¿Va a jugar a favor de Timbers, que lleguen ellos cansados, que tengan que viajar, que tuvieron partido hoy Vancouver?
Es difícil porque ellos juegan fuera de casa en un sitio muy largo de Vancouver, pero creo que dos días entre el partido el domingo, entonces es un montón de tiempo para descansar, para recuperar y cuando tiene 10 semanas para descansar en noviembre y diciembre, ahora no es el tiempo para decir yo estoy cansado.
Phil,
Amigo, how are you?
good, yourself?
Yeah, good.
40. Your evaluation having Jimmer here with you training preseason and now expectation for him.
The expectation is...
Por favor.
Sorry?
En español.
Oh, you have to ask the question in Spanish to get an answer in Spanish. I mean, hombre. Jimmy Fori es un jugador muy joven, pero tiene mucha experiencia en su país. Jugó en un partidos muy grandes en su país, entonces es un jugador que quisimos un jugador en esta posición, con velocidad, joven, con unas cualidades nosotros necesitamos. Es en el área es genial. Todos los balones cuando salimos en el ataque, él es muy fuerte en el área. Tenemos 3 jugadores en esta posición: Claudio Bravo, Ian Smith y Jimmy Ferrari. Entonces es un reto muy grande para jugar en esta posición en nuestro equipo. Cuando hablé con él la primera vez, mi opinión, mi sentimiento fue es un jugador que fútbol es su vida de Jimmy Fori. Él vive todos los días para jugar fútbol, entonces esa cualidad es para mí el mismo de Santi Moreno, Juan Mosquera, David Ayala, Anthony, es una calidad muy especial. Entonces estamos muy felices con él. Siempre juega con un sonrisa en el campo, pero es el mejor bailando en la plantilla. No seguro. Él cree que es él siempre bailando en el vestuario, pero para mí es muy mal. Es una broma.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it there. Thanks, Coach.
No, thank you.
We'll have David Dasta up next.
That he's the worst dancer in the dressing room.
You're going to see it in Medellin.
All right. We are joined here by our newest designated player and midfielder, David Dasta. David, thank you for the time. Gracias por el tiempo. And David speaks like 10 languages, but English is a little slimmer in his
Difficult.
school. Yeah, a little bit. So we'll go ahead and translate in Spanish, but we can open up to questions. Whoever wants to start, Adam.
Welcome to Portland, David. When did the Timbers first come on your radar, and what attracted you about the proposition of joining the Portland Timbers?
Bienvenido a Portland. ¿Qué fue de Portland Timbers que te quiso, que te gustó para poder venir a este equipo?
La primera vez hablé con el mister, ahí hablamos mucho, hablamos de la ciudad, de cómo eran los compañeros, los fanáticos, me atrajo directamente.
Yeah, I spoke to the coach a lot, and he told me a lot about our city, the team, the fans, and that's something that was really attractive to me. Tyson?
How would you describe yourself as a player, and how do you envision your role on this team, and how you can contribute to the Timbers this year?
¿Cómo te describirías como jugador en la cancha? Tu estilo de juego y qué crees y quieres aportar para el equipo.
Soy un jugador inteligente en su posicionamiento. Estoy aquí para aprender y ayudar al equipo.
I think for me, I would describe myself as a very smart player in my position, and I'm just here to learn more and help the team out.
Hi, David. Welcome to Portland. When you were playing at your former club in France, you played both on the left, also through the middle sometimes. What would you say is your favorite position to play out of all of those?
Bienvenido, David. Cuando estabas jugando en Francia ahorita, jugabas dos posiciones, unas veces en la izquierda, otras veces en el medio. Para ti, ¿cuál es tu posición favorita para jugar?
Me ha preguntado mucho esa cuestión. No, para mí mi posición favorita es dentro de la cancha. No hay mucha diferencia, depende de los partidos. Soy un jugador que no me gusta estar solo en una posición, me gusta mucho de movilidad.
Yeah, that's a question that I actually get a lot. My favorite position to play is definitely inside or in the middle of the field, but I will say that I do like to move around a lot, and yeah.
A ver, en español te la hago más fácil. Okay. Okay. Para que la gente te conozca un poco más, ¿cuáles son esos idiomas que hablas? Obviamente francés, español. ¿Con quién vas a vivir en Portland? ¿Te va a venir a acompañar alguien? ¿Cómo te organizaste ya? So the question is to know him a little bit better. What are the languages that he speaks, and how he is going to set up himself in the city? Family members with him, or who's going to live with him?
Tiene que preguntar de nuevo. Es que si la pregunta.
Los idiomas que hablas y
sí.
con quién vas a vivir y si ya están acá.
Los idiomas que hablo son portugués, criollo de Cabo Verde, francés. I understand a little bit English, Spanish, because Spanish is similar to Portuguese. But it's, my family is coming.
¿Que va a venir tu familia?
Sí, que va a venir mi familia.
Si quieres ir en español y yo te veo.
Mi familia va a venir después. Estoy aquí con mi novia. I try.
That was so good. Yeah, my family will come later, but right now I'm here with my girlfriend.
Hola David, bienvenido. Nicole Ramírez de la Grande Radio en español. Narramos los partidos en español también de los Timbers. ¿Cómo te sientes estar aquí? ¿Cuál es tu sentir en el equipo? ¿Cómo sientes que te han acogido? ¿Qué esperas de una afición? Porque tienes mucha responsabilidad. La afición de Timbers exige mucho. Entonces, ¿qué les podría decir a esa afición que sabemos que están esperando con ansias que arranque ya este fin de semana los partidos? ¿Y cómo te sientes tú? ¿Cómo te sientes en esta ciudad? ¿Qué habías escuchado de la ciudad de Portland también? Gracias.
Empezaría con cómo te sientes ahorita con el equipo, con tus compañeros y también si sientes algún tipo de presión o responsabilidad con una fanaticada tan apasionada.
Estoy muy contento de estar aquí, de encontrar mis nuevos compañeros, de la nueva equipa. Para mí es todo nuevo porque ya estaba 13 años en solo club. ahora tengo que me habituar rápido y estoy muy contento de estar aquí, de conocer toda la familia Timbers y la ciudad. Ya está, estoy muy contento.
So, question was, how do you feel right now with the team and with a new team, new teammates, and do you feel any sort of pressure with such a passionate fan base that Portland has? I'm very happy to be here, and meeting my new teammates has been great. Everything is new for me because I was in my last club for 13 years, and so I'm excited to come here and meet my Timbers family and the city of Portland in general. Any last questions?
Hi, David. How hard was it to leave Europe, leave the European style of football, and now you're here in the United States in the MLS, where it's so different, not only style-wise, but culture-wise? ¿Qué tan difícil ha sido ese cambio de jugar en Europa, y no solo de jugar, pero también vivir en Europa y ahora estar en los Estados Unidos? Gracias.
¿Cuál el de los estilos de juego en Europa y ahora en MLS? ¿Cuáles son las diferencias que has notado sobre eso?
No hay mucha diferencia. Lo fútbol es lo mismo, la cancha es la misma. Estoy muy excitado de empezar con el equipo y conocer el nuevo campeonato de la MLS. Es un campeonato que está creciendo. Hay muchos jugadores que vienen de la Europa, de MLS que van para la Europa. Es un campeonato muy bueno.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of difference. At the end of the day, soccer is soccer and the field is the same, the sport is the same. I'm just very excited to go out with my new team and learn more from this league, from MLS. It's a league that obviously has brought a lot of players from all around the world and Europe, like you said, and so I'm excited to just go out there and start learning more about the league. I think we'll wrap it there. Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you.